and welcome to the Design Career Workshop. You're in for a real treat here. We have a little bit of an interactive exercise from my colleague Iris Cai. My name is Zana Quetta. I am the, there I am. I am the project manager for recruitment admissions for the full-time MBA program. So thank you very much for joining us from all around the world today, wherever you are. I hope you and yours are safe and healthy. So just to get started, this is our agenda, and I'll start with the land acknowledgement. What we're going to do is we're going to go through the program. I'll give a short UBC MBA full-time MBA overview, and then I will hand it off to my esteemed colleague for the design thinking workshop. If you have any questions, please feel free to put those in the Q&A box. And my colleague Keith, who's also behind the scenes, will be assisting in answering any questions that you may have. So again, welcome. I would like to acknowledge that UBC's Vancouver Point Grey campus is situated on the traditional, ancestral, and ceded territory of the Musqueam people. I would also like to acknowledge that you are joining us today from many places near and far, and acknowledge the traditional owners and caretakers of those lands. So again, any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. That is a link, a direct link to my booking page, where you can schedule a one-on-one advising appointment with me, and we can really dig deep into your personal profile, have a look at your transcript, your resume, and so on, and see whether you're a suitable candidate for our full-time MBA program. Iris, over to you, just to give a brief introduction to the audience out there.
Sorry, I was on mute earlier. Keith, sorry, Zad, do you want me to bridge over to my side of the presentation, or?
No, I was just giving you a chance to briefly introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Get to your section.
Absolutely. So, hi everyone. I am one of the two career coaches supporting Sauder's full-time MBA students. I have been with Sauder for about 4 years, a bit over 4 years actually. Actually, today is my 4-year anniversary. Oh, gee, I just realized. So really happy to be part of this community, and I would be very happy to support you with any career-related questions as well. Yeah, that's it. And you'll learn a little bit more about me in the context of my workshop later on. Thank you, Zah.
Thank you so much, Iris, and happy anniversary.
Yeah.
So moving forward, just to get a few timelines and dates for the upcoming intake that we have, as you know, or maybe you don't know, we've extended some of our deadlines in regards to the COVID situation. So our final deadline for international students is coming up pretty soon, August 18th, 2020. Document deadline, so any other outstanding supporting documents that you may have, maybe standardized test scores or official transcripts, you have until November 20th. But I will stress to try and get those, use that as a guideline, but I would really like to emphasize that you should try and submit as complete an application as possible and try to get us those supporting documents as soon as you can. Our new intake, this is sort of a COVID intake, if you will. The start date will be January 11th, 2021. Our program duration still maintains our traditional components and length, so it's a 16-month program. And then, of course, you graduate right after that. So why UBC MBA? What is it about a UBC MBA that sets us apart? The Global Immersion Experience, which is our international business consultancy, which sees our students work virtually at the beginning with international companies to tackle a problem that they're facing, and then to travel to that company. So some really good experiential learning component. That's the pillar, or one of the pillars of our program. We have personalized career development through our Business Career Centre, of which Iris That's Iris's department, and you'll get a little flavor and a sense of what they deliver today. We are a member of the Global Elite, the top 45 global elite of schools, #1 in Canada for business and economics. We have an extensive alumni network, over 43,000 students based in 80 countries plus around the globe. And of course, we're set in the stunning city of Vancouver, a city of ideas, rated as one of the fastest growing metropolitan economies. We are home to some Canadian companies like Lululemon, Aritzia, obviously the city of Vancouver. Multinational offices from some of these big companies that have now found a home in Vancouver include SAP, Microsoft, and McKinsey. So really an emerging metropolitan economy, fast growing, and a hub in terms of tech as well. So just to give you a little bit of an overview of the program journey of the full-time MBA. Again, traditionally, we do start at the end of August with our orientation, our opening week. Classes begin the first week of September. We have some foundation courses, some integrated case studies layered on top of that, and the immersion pre-departure workshop, which I alluded to in terms of our international business consultancy project. You'll see moving through the timeline, you will then move into your track courses, your electives. I'll get into a little bit more detail about that later on. And then a paid internship or an entrepreneurial or an industry project, which will give you that hands-on practical experience that you'll need going forward. It's a paid internship between 3,000 and 6,000 Canadian dollars for 4 months. Or you can do the entrepreneurial project or the industry project. As a member of the Global Elite, we also have some exchange opportunities available for you through our global network, which I will get into in a little bit more detail going forward. And then you would finish that off with a capstone project at the very end before graduation. So in terms of the curriculum itself, you're looking at some foundational courses, some foundational modules, addressing different sections of that, including operations, marketing, entrepreneurship, economics, accounting, and so on. And then also some thematic modules that run through the course itself, and really sets us apart in terms of our MBA offering, focusing on things like ethics and sustainability, leadership development, creativity, and decision-making for managers. So embedded in our MBA are what we call our specializations or our career tracks. So these are specific disciplines which broaden and deepen your understanding of business. It's a focus, if you will. Technology and analytics leadership, which is brand new. Courses in things like data viz, AI, fintech, customer analytics. The next specialization you can do is either finance, so looking at managerial economics, asset pricing, and so on. We have a track in products and service management, innovation, and entrepreneurship. And for those of you who really want to potentially get a blend of all of these, or to really tailor your journey through the MBA program, you can also tailor your own individual learning to suit your career objectives, if you will. So if you're looking to get into consulting, you can take a blend of all of these, or you can tailor your learning, as I said earlier, to really focus on your career goals. So our TAL track, otherwise known as our technology and analytics track, really gives you the ability to really dive deeply and to deepen your skills in big data, data analysis, visualization. It can take you in a host of different directions, whether it's product management, business analysis, process improvement. And you can see some of the logos of some of the companies that this direction or this career track can take you to, some of the companies that you can end up working for, whether it's Electronic Arts, Amazon, Salesforce, or PayPal. So moving into our experiential learning, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a 4-month paid internship. The internship salary is between $3,000 and $6,000 over 4 months. You can choose as well to do an entrepreneurial project instead, or an industry project. And our global experience, we do belong to the global network of advanced management, as well as offering you this global immersion that I just mentioned. So in terms of our global immersion experience, these are some of the places that have taken our students, the places that they have gone to. So you would be tasked with solving a business challenge that an international company is facing. And depending on what your focus is, that could take you to different locations. So for example, Berlin, in this example, focused on things like manufacturing and entrepreneurship. Santiago, Chile, thriving wine business, one of the largest mining operations in the world. Shanghai, China for finance, and Tel Aviv for entrepreneurship as well. Now, we are the only Canadian member of the Global Network for Advanced Management, a Yale spearheaded network, which allows you to leverage some learning across our partner institutions. This gives you the chance to broaden your horizons, to learn at a different institution. And there are 3 different ways that you can really leverage our membership within this network. One of them includes small network online courses that you can take for credit with partner institutions, or you can also take part in global network weeks, which are 4 credit classes at another network school, and that really focuses on a specific theme, usually a theme that the institution is an expert in. And then you can also do what we call a formalized exchange, maybe go undertake an exchange that lasts for a semester or so. So 3 different options for you to leverage this network. An example of the global networking weeks and themes, you can see that different schools sort of focus on different themes that they are known for. We have in the past done things, for example, UBC Sauder itself, we tend to focus on things like sustainable development, ethics, and so on. So you can see some of the courses that were undertaken at Sauder in 2019. So 34 exchange partners across the world, top business schools that you can leverage, that you can take courses with, and so on, to expand your horizons, broaden your perspective, and deepen your learning. One of the singular features that we do have is we do have a personalized career coaching offered through our BCC, our Business Career Centre. And one of the outstanding features that the BCC offers that really sets us apart from other schools is our emphasis on emotional intelligence. You'll be put through an emotional intelligence assessment, working with a personalized career coach, and really bringing to life your career action plan, forming a strategy and a strategic journey that meets your career objectives. We found that EQ and emotional intelligence can increase creativity and innovation, can help to lead others effectively, build better relationships, manage stress, manage difficult emotions, and to make you that much more effective within the workplace. So in terms of our career outcomes, again, another snapshot of the class of 2019 in terms of their employment numbers and where they ended up. 87% of our graduates were employed within 90 days after graduation. You can see the span and scope of different full-time positions that they had in different sectors, the internships that they were able to secure, again, through help and support of the BCC, and the salary range that they were able to negotiate and gain through taking a full-time MBA program. We pride ourselves in being a very diverse cohort. So when you look at the profile, for example, the class of 2020, class size tends to be around 97 plus minus 100 or so. You can see the male-female split there. Our average age tends to be around 30. Average years of work experience for that specific year was 6 years, but that's just for that specific class. So generally speaking, minimum of 2 years work experience. Competitive work experience tends to fall between 3 and 5 years. And we're a very internationally based cohort. 46% is international and the rest is domestic. So there's a very vibrant diversity in terms of academic background, in terms of work experience, and so on. So getting down to the brass tacks, and I'm sure some of you are very interested in finding out, if you don't know already, our admission requirements. When we're looking at things like academic achievement, a GPA of 3.3, a B+, and the 3.3 is out of 4. So 3.3 out of 4, a B+, or a 76%. Our GMAT requirements, our minimum GMAT, again, is 550. Our competitive GMAT score is a 650. And you can also do the GRE test as well. Minimum for the GRE is 155 in each section, 300 minimum requirement, and 320 competitive. So in both of those tests, we're looking at both your verbal and your quantitative performance. In terms of work experience, as I just mentioned, the minimum is 2 years. Competitive tends to fall between 3 and 5. We do need a minimum of 2 professional references. There are written and video essays. So there are two written responses of 200 words each, a longer written response of 500 words, and a video response, which can caps off at no more than a minute and a half. So if English is not the medium of instruction of which you were educated in, we accept both the IELTS, TOEFL, and a host of other English proficiency tests that you can find on our website. There will be a personal interview. So basically what happens is you put together the application. If we feel that we would like to go forward with your candidacy, we will call you for an interview. After that interview, we will then assess your complete application as a whole and decide whether to extend an offer or not. So again, to reiterate, the upcoming deadline is August 18th for international students, if you happen to be a domestic student as well, September 15th. Fees for international students are approximately 84,000 Canadian dollars. That's for the 16-month tuition portion of your fees. And we do have quite a wide range of scholarships, between $10,000 and $40,000 in value. And we do give out, there's about 35 to 45% of the MBA class will be eligible for scholarship. Another word about scholarship, generally speaking, if you adhere to the admissions deadline, then you would also meet the requirements to apply for that scholarship. We do assess you both for admissions and scholarship at the same time. Okay, so there's no, for the most part, there is no real need to declare that you are looking for a scholarship or fill out any additional paperwork in that regard. Our scholarships range in terms of awards for merit, general entrance, things like community involvement, or maybe demonstration of your experience in entrepreneurship. We have regional scholarships depending on what region of the world you're coming from. So quite a wide range there, also available on our website. So that is the URL in terms of lodging an application. You can find a lot of information there. We have quite a substantial amount of resources. We have some pre-taped, some previously held webinars that have been recorded where you can get a taste for some sample lectures, listen to some alumni of the program, and to gain more information and insight into the program as a whole. If you want to reach out to me, you're more than welcome to reach out to me. My email address is zod.naquetta@sauder.ubc.ca. So thank you very much. That's the program introduction or program overview portion of this programming. I'm going to hand it over to my esteemed colleague, Iris Cai. And she's going to give you a little bit of a flavor for some of the things that they do at the Business Career Centre and some of the exercises that we undertake in terms of our MBA candidates. So thank you very much for listening, and over to you, Iris.
Thank you. Thank you, Za. I'm going to start sharing my screen now, so that will just cut off your side. So let me just do full screen. You should be able to see. Design your life. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone. I'm very excited to be able to bring, kind of give you a sneak peek of what's happening in our career programming, what we offer to our full-time students. So just to give you an idea, in addition to that personalized one-on-one coaching, our career team also offer workshops, career curriculum throughout your MBA journey to get you ready. So this is just an example of that. Before we go into the full content, I thought I will give you an idea of who I am, and then we'll switch it over for me to get a little bit of idea of who you are. So like many of you, I am an international, well, I was an international student coming from China. I came here many, many years ago and studied business at Simon Fraser University, which is another major university located in Vancouver. I studied business and started out my career in HR, actually, in a big box store. Rona, it's kind of like America's Home Depot. Telligence is a small telecom. And then I really changed my mind. As an international student, and mind you, it would be sometimes a bit challenging to do exactly what you set out to accomplish right away for various reasons, which we could get into in the future. So I encountered the same kind of challenge when I just graduated, and I could not go into marketing right away. So I went into my second option, which is HR. But after about 2 years, I felt that being an HR generalist is a little bit too boring for me. So I initiated my first career change back to pursue my love of marketing and started working for one of the big 3 telecoms in Canada. It's called TELUS, and I was there for 7 years, 7 amazing years doing a bunch of different things, but mainly in the product area of the business. And that's why I focus on supporting students in the product and service management area and entrepreneurship. After 7 years, I decided to have another career change because I got tired of selling phones and rate plans. I felt that I'm not making a lot of impact for the world. So I decided to not do my MBA instead. I was accepted by another school in the East Coast and decided to go to coaching school. So I got my first gig at Right Management, which is a career transition firm. And then the UBC opportunity came up. So I took that opportunity exactly 4 years ago. And then in that area, I realized there are a lot of new ways of using innovative business practices, for example, the business model canvas, to help us look at career change, personal branding, career reinvention in a very multidisciplinary way. And that's why I also started my own company, Bold Careers, on the side. So I'm using these examples to illustrate to you that you could have multiple identities, especially in this new world of career. If you don't get into a job right away, or you don't get to do exactly what you want in the job, in the way that you want. For example, at UBC, there are sometimes certain constraints on certain content I could explore. So I decided to start a side business to try that out. And eventually I bring that content back into UBC. And that's how I manage my career in a more entrepreneurial way. So I just want to illustrate that to you. And how I continuously reinvent myself as well. So to a certain point, I hit a point where I realized that I love helping people find career directions, but there's a missing ingredient, which is students' ability to go out to do things for themselves, to recover from setbacks, from rejections, and then pursue their career with self-confidence, with agency. And that became really meaningful to me. And I ended up deciding to pursue a master's degree in positive psychology with the University of Pennsylvania. So in the last year, I also have been doing that. So that is another way I like to give you an example. I think someone asked a question about EQ, is that no matter how much prep we give you, no matter how much market information you know, and going out to do coffee chats and meet people, or the connections we give to you, if you don't build your soft skills, your emotional intelligence, and learn skills to regulate yourself, to learn to fail better, your potential is still capped at a certain level. And Mary and our team are here to support you on that. Now, enough about myself. We would like to get into a quick poll to learn about where you are in terms of your career decision-making or career direction. So Keith, is it okay for us to start the poll right now? Awesome. Let's give you guys maybe half a minute or so. Very interesting seeing this live. I'm gonna move this to this side. It would be cool for you guys to see what I'm seeing right now. Okay, we should stop this in, let's say, 30 seconds. Okay, many people are deciding between a few options. All right. Okay, I'm gonna end the poll right now in the interest of time, but I'm getting a good sense of where everybody is. Thank you for participating. All right, share your results a little bit. So this is what you get to see, okay? So back to the presentation. So not surprised, many of you are either pretty sure about what you want to do, but still deciding between things. And that's why we would like to focus on how you can design your career in your MBA journey. Now, if you think about what it's like to work with a coach at the Career Center and you think of this picture, I would like to tell you that this is an image that we need to change. As you can see, that old school phone, probably you have to dial to make your call, and all suited up. This is career management of probably our fathers, our grandfathers' lifetime, their generation. In the world that we are in, constantly changing, this type of style of career coaching, where we call it vocational guidance, where, for example, myself or my colleague Mary, we're like the experts. We're just here to learn about what you want, and then we just tell you exactly what you want to do. And it seems very rational, it's very linear. An example of that is you asking me, oh, what is out there, Iris? What do I need to do? What is the job that pays the most, or that is easiest to get into? So don't come to us with this kind of question, because our answers will not be helpful for you. In the future of work, where just so many jobs are constantly changing, there's so many jobs that are very multidisciplinary and always more evolving. It is your job and our job to partner together, like we are collaborators, to discover yourself, discover what the world needs, and find that sweet spot with each other. Okay, and so things are constantly changing. Coincidentally, in the world of design, of innovation, there is a term that is called design thinking. And this is a way that, a mindset that we would like to introduce to you. Actually, show of hands, I don't know whether I can easily see that. How many one of you have heard of this term or are familiar with it? Okay, many hands. Oh, that's pretty good. All right. So numbers seem to come down. Okay, I guess you're lowering your hands. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, offering a definition here. So design thinking is a creative problem-solving method that is commonly used in innovation, in, say, service experience design, and increasingly in social innovation as well. And design thinking is not just a methodology, it's also a kind of mindset. And we would like to bring it to your career reinvention journey, your career management journey. Even though you are not thinking about changing your job drastically, it's something to know what kind of to adopt, because they will be really helpful when, especially when you are encountering uncertainties, a lot of changes as well. Now, this is one of the frameworks that you could use to look at design thinking, and there are many different models out there, but they share a lot of similarity. The first one here is empathize, meaning you want to learn about your clients or learn about yourself, right? Start from understanding, and then you want to define what the problem is, and then go into ideation, right? Generating ideas. So for example, now we would like to help you ideate and think about what those options are. But like some of you already know, you already have a prototype of what your career should be, right? Something that you want to be a financial, maybe go into investment banking even, or some people are accountant before and they're thinking about becoming a financial analyst. So there are different options and you're unsure exactly which one to go into. Now, we're here to help you test out these options throughout your journey. You go out for coffee chats, you go out to talk to alumni, and then the implementation could involve things such as taking action to apply for jobs. And then that's how you understand whether you are a good fit for those roles or not. Well, this looks like a very linear model. However, in the real world, it could look like this. Lots of ups and downs and lots of diverging, for example, like brainstorming options and converging, narrowing down, because sometimes I would even tell you that, yeah, you're not ready for that job yet. Or no, we don't have companies that are like that within Vancouver. So you would narrow down your options and continue to re-strategize. And that's where that design thinking mindset should come in to the picture. It's relevant to you because many of you come from different backgrounds. I wonder who are the engineers in the room? Maybe A little bit of a show of hands. Okay. Wow, quite a lot here. So for engineers, you guys tend to like to solve your way forward, right? You are always problem solving. You might tend to prefer things that are more black and white. Of course, I'm stereotyping a little bit, but it's just that's more of a tendency. I'm a business student myself. I was one before. I wonder how many people who already have business background, maybe show of hands. Okay, quite a few there. When I was taking economics classes, I used to love it when problems can be solved through cases, through Excel spreadsheet, because it's just black and white. And I tend to fumble a little bit when it comes to classes that require more writing. So that was the me back then. And I think some of us could be like that, like love to use data. And some of you might come from a more science background. Maybe raise your hand, identify yourself. So for students who are scientific or have a science background, you might be a little bit similar to the first two types too. You like analysis. And then things need to be backed by evidence, right? It has to be on a peer-reviewed journal, for example. So again, these are all thinking styles that stay with you. You have been studying with that, you have worked with that, and we're not saying that you give that away. What we're trying to do is to introduce this one that is building your way forward. So I hope that with this comparison, it kind of clarified that mindset a little bit more. Now, design thinking, it's not original to me. There are a lot of innovation gurus, for example, David Kelly, who started IDEO. Their firm designed the first Mac mouse, actually, was one of the examples of that. And later on, there's a book even written about that. So for those of you who are interested in this concept, go buy the book, Designing Your Life. I heard that it's actually even been translated to other languages like Chinese even. And there's an actual course, a very, very popular course called Designing Your Life that is taught at Stanford too. So when it comes to lifelong career management or simply not knowing what to do with your career, with your life, this is a great book that backs a lot of things I've talked about today. Highly recommend that. It was actually written by 2 management consultants. So I think there's a lot of credibility there. So again, to recap, a designer's mindset is someone who is curious, willing to try things out, not fixated on only one certain options. And when you hit roadblocks, you are very open to reframing your problems. You can notice your dysfunctional beliefs, your limiting beliefs, which is what we cover in EQ, and know that it's a process. You're patient and you know how to ask for help from your community. All right, so we'll spend quite some time today's call trying to focus on this first section, understanding. Now, who are the users you need to understand here? Of course, when you're job searching, you need to understand what your target customers, which is your target companies, right? They're basically like customers who are here to buy you, buy your talents. That's your product or your service. And we always want you to be able to do that. You want to do lots of research, and the BCC offers a lot of support, like tips and links, our library to support you, and myself and my counterpart Mary would support you on where to go to. But what is often not emphasized is our students' ability to understand themselves. Even right now, I can honestly tell you, for the current class of MBA students, they're already in the midst of internships. I would say already over half of their MBA journey. There are still students who cannot very well articulate their strengths, their value proposition for their target company. And I think part of that is that lack of self-awareness, right? So whether you decided to pursue Sauder or not, I know you are very dedicated to your own growth. So my word of advice today is that you really want to understand yourself very, very well. Your strengths, your values, what makes you thrive, what's interesting to you, you need to understand that so you can find that sweet spot, that overlap between what energizes you and what the world has to offer, what the world needs. Now, what we're going to do next is to launch it into a short little exercise. So Keith, I wonder whether we were able to upload that exercise to the chat function, or should folks be going to their email? Cannot hear you.
Hey, Iris, I'm just going to chirp in here. Your presenter slide is kind of visible to the audience. I just thought you should be aware of that. And is there a way for you to, yeah, is it a way for you to make the slides a little larger?
That's funny. I'm going to reshare. So let me just, so which screen are you seeing right here? I think this whole time, have I been sharing my presenter slide rather than my full screen slide?
Indeed.
Oh my God. Well, thanks for pointing that out.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Apologize, everyone. I actually thought that I was sharing the other slide. So anyways, back to the document, the worksheet.
Hey everyone, Keith here. So I'll actually be sending over the document through your email address. So just watch out for that in your email. I'll be sending that right away.
Okay. So when everyone is bringing this up, I'm going to also go into that next slide to give you a sense of what that looks like. Okay. So how about this? For those of you who got the file open, would you like to raise your hand so I can get a sense?
Steadily increasing.
Okay. All right, so for those of you who has it open, feel free to read the instructions, and I'll also give a bit of an explanation. All right, so only 17 people raised their hand. So in the interest of time, we're gonna just get started, and then I'm sure you can make up for your time on your own. Okay, more and more over here, which is great news. Now, I did share a little bit of a sneak peek of this, what the file looks like. You will be able to see a table demonstrating the different work activities that I would like you to fill out. So some background on this. For us to know what job is suitable for you, you do want to get a sense of what you like first. That's that whole self-awareness that I was talking about. So we'd like to invite you to re-examine or to examine your current career or current job or your life so far. And even if you're not working right now, but think about your career experience, multiple jobs previously. And think about, for example, if you have been in a sales job where it involves meeting clients or performing analysis, right, some sales analyst job. Write down each of these type of distinctive work activities on the screen, on your Word document, and then give it a score. So for example, if you really like meeting clients, you give it a higher score, 1 to 10, 10 is highest. If you're just okay, maybe I put a 6 over here. And for some of you, Maybe you're a bit more introverted. Even though you like people, you just cannot stand talking to people all the time. It actually drains you. So then you can give it a negative score. Don't get too hung up on how big should it be, -6 or 7. Don't get hung up on that. It's really the thought process that makes a difference here. And then, oh, I forgot to explain also that being engaged, like whether this job engages you, it means that this kind of activity gives you positive emotions, such as helping you feel happy, right? Or you can be very focused, you're very interested in doing that. So for those of you who really love it, you're really attracted to that work, and you can really forget about time, you're in the zone doing that kind of work, then that means that you are in almost like a flow state. So the flow state means you're fully immersed, energized, focused. For example, people who dance on the screen, or when you play sports, that can all be an example of you being in flow. And for me, sometimes when I'm doing workshops, when I'm doing analysis, I can get into that flow state too. So again, these are just some examples. And next, I would like to invite you to spend a couple of minutes to start finishing up that first column. Just write down the types of things that you have been doing in this current job and or your previous jobs. With these work activities, also, don't pick things that are too general. For example, having meetings. Having meeting is just general activities that I have meetings, Zhao would have meeting, Keith would have meeting. That does not distinguish my job versus their job. So write down ones that really makes your work different from somebody else's, that it's in a different role. Okay, any questions? Feel free to raise your hands. Let's see, anybody have questions? And if you have questions, maybe Keith, you could unmute this individual so we can all hear the answer, the question from them. Okay. Looks like everybody is understanding. I'm also going to bring this document on the screen. This is what we're talking about. Okay, so it looks like I hear no questions. I'm going to give you, let's say 1 minute for now. We're not expecting you to finish this whole thing, but I would like to get you started a little bit. So you can ask me if you have any questions later, and you can continue on after the workshop. All right. So I'm going to start a timer and give you a minute to do this. I'll play a bit of music. All right, end of music, which is a sign for me that it's been about 2.5 minutes that you've been doing this. What was it like? Any questions or comments that anyone want to make here? Feel free to raise your hand. Nobody? Anthony, raise your hand. Do you have a question? If not, you can also lower your hand too. Curtis has something to say too. Can we, okay, I can allow to talk. Maybe Anthony, you want to go first?
Yeah, Iris, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Hey, 你好，你叫什么名字？
Ni hao, well, speak some Mandarin over here. Yeah, go ahead with your comment or question.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was quite hard to separate what's a mundane task and what's a task that will get me into the flowed state. But I often think that tasks that are mundane tend to get you into a flowing state more. But for me, I put things like one of my ex jobs was like selling, like financial advising. So like being cold calling a lot. So do you think things like that classify, like cold calling, cross selling?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, those are the things that makes your job a lot more different than, for example, like my job, right? So again, like I'd like to clarify that for this type of exercises, it's the process of thinking through it, right? And then we having this conversation that matters rather than what is right or what is wrong. All right. Thank you. And Curtis, you have a question? Feel free to speak up. Awesome.
Hey, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more of a comment than a question, but I was pretty good at doing the stuff that I liked and that I'm engaged with and where the flow is moving. For me, it was a lot harder to look at the items that are more mundane and don't flow as well. But that's probably an indicator of the role that I'm in at the moment. The items that are mundane are usually the things that doesn't separate my role.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. So when you feel that it's very mundane and probably it is, I think a good question is to see whether that is essential to your role too. Do you want to keep that in your future type of work? And then and what the problem you want to solve is. So for example, I used to hate organizing a lot of meetings in my old job in telecom. It could be a little bit mundane for me. But when I'm going through an exercise like this, I kind of realize that, well, that's a core of that job though. And when I have a new job, is this something that I have a choice or not? And if it really have no choice, that other job does also require you to do same kind of mundane kind of work. You may have to learn to accept that. And this is where the reframing can come into the picture. Maybe you can do certain things in a different way to make that mundane work more interesting, to make it more your style. All right. And any question or comment on that? Feel free to chime in too, Curtis.
Yeah, I agree. Honestly, this exercise probably made me realize that I'm probably in a good role for myself.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes certain things that happen in our job, it could be a boss that we don't like, a colleague that is not very supportive, or it could be a culture that is not that great, can almost like get collapsed with that job, and make us feel that we don't like that job. So it's really important to identify the elements about that job that works for you, and ones that does not work for you. And that's why I would like to quickly comment on the second page of the exercise on my screen. So this is where you kind of try to categorize things, right? And again, this is not black and white. Categorize them and ask yourself, what factors make you feel this way? For example, why does this task feel mundane to me? And then I'd like to introduce you to this like AEIOU method on page number 3. Then you start to think about, is it because of the activity being boring, or is that the environment, the interactions, the things I work with, objects, or the users? Is it because of the people? Okay, like I have a student before who's a really talented tech professional, software engineer, but decided to abandon the world of technology and to get into finance because of some traumatizing experience in tech. Just like that experience just blurred everything together, and she just does not want to be in tech anymore, right? So it's important to acknowledge that not every tech company is like that. So I think that conversation, that analysis is important here. Any other comments? I see Garima raising your hand.
Hi, Iris.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So my question is, so this whole exercise is for evaluating a particular job that you are into right now, or you have been in the past, right? Or
this is more about understanding the past, and it could be multiple jobs too. But you could do the same kind of analysis in a future job that you want to get into. However, the risk is that you haven't worked in that job, so your analysis could be flawed. But you do want to kind of visualize a little bit and talk to people and imagine whether that would work for you. However, to get there, you need to start from where you are right now. Start by understanding your past or your current role.
Okay, so if there are some activities that I really enjoyed in my volunteer work, I can include that as well in this?
Oh, yes. That can give you a lot of great insights. Thank you for mentioning that. I actually neglected that point. I wanted to mention that too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so let's move on. I'm going to share the screen back and then quickly, oh, someone has a question? Did I see a hand raised? Oh, no. Okay. Oh, Miguel. Go ahead. You are on mute. Okay, you're good now.
Yes, hi Iris, how are you? I just wanted to ask if we already identified the activities that make us feel in a flow state. Should we try to always engage on those activities, or should we also look forward to learn how we can feel that way performing other activities? I mean, can you learn to feel that engagement with activities that you used to feel bored?
So what's the last piece what's your last question?
I want to know if you can learn how to feel engaged with activities that you don't necessarily enjoy.
Very good question. This is going to be a long answer. I'll try to be really quick, and I noticed that it's already 5 o'clock. So I need to wrap up. So first of all, flow is a really unique thing. To be in flow, the things you do needs to be challenging, but you also kind of have mastered it somehow. So it's not like you want to be in flow. You can just get there right away. Okay, and it could be something that you have mastered or you're in the process of gaining level of excellence as well. And for things that that is mundane, I doubt that you could bring yourself to a flow state if you are not engaged enough. I'm not sure whether that answers your question.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you very much.
Okay, and okay, another thing is that of course, in an ideal world, we might want to be in flow all the time because it's a very focused state. However, we need to see whether that's even realistic or not. A lot of work, we actually are with other people, where flow is a very individual experience. All right, so I noticed the time and I want to make sure that we have some time left over to answer your questions. So I need to quickly wrap up. A couple of slides that are skipped over earlier. Would like you to spend some time to take a look at the AIOU method and then go through some ideation. These are all in the handout. So we're not going to talk about that. For example, learn how to prototype your different types of career. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you can come up with a couple of options. Your career explorer, your options could be a little bit of a variation of the same path. If you're career enhancer, then changing out some of the elements like the job, the industry, the role, these could all be ideas, and we're here to support you. But lots of research to be done on your end. I think, Garima, you answered a question earlier about how much does the BCC, does the school support our students with your internship? The answer is yes. However, there's a lot of work that you need to do on your own as well, and with our support. Okay, so I'm not going to put all these into the session today because it's supposed to be a sneak peek. Hopefully the handout is helpful enough. You can try to buy the book, read about it as well, and Designing Your Life has a website as well. I think it offers some very powerful exercises. Thank you so much, and I would hand over the floor back to Za. I know there are a lot of questions being answered there.
Yes, indeed, and thank you everybody, and thank you Iris for a really exciting session there. I think you've given us a bit of an insight and answered some questions from some candidates who have some things that were burning in their minds. I just wanted to, there was one question, I don't know if you'd be able to answer it for me, but in terms of health and biotech, what positions do you see students getting jobs in? Like, what are they doing within this sector?
Yeah, so I think that's a great question. It really depends on the stage of the organization. What we have seen, if the organization is a lot more early stage, oftentimes, let's say internship first, oftentimes students go in to do work that is focused on market research, business development, right? Strategizing, very big picture things. So that would generally be the focus. However, depending on the expertise of the candidate, of the student themselves, sometimes they could be doing work that requires more experience as well. Let's say if you're a career changer who has a biotech background already, then maybe you could get into a more sophisticated role that involves product development or product management in that area too. So it's actually kind of hard for me to give you a very straight answer. Business development, market research, product management, maybe sometimes change management. Yeah, so those roles should be in the recruitment brochure. Go onto LinkedIn, that's your go-to place. Look at what the Sauder alumni are doing. You can filter by industry as well. Excellent. And very soon we will have a website. When you start school here, we will have a database for you to look up things as well.
Excellent. Excellent. So thank you so much. Again, I just wanted to say thank you everybody for participating, for listening, for joining us today. As I mentioned earlier, here to answer your questions, zah.naqueta@sauder.ubc, please.ca. So please reach out to me, and we'll be back with another webinar on a different topic to help provide more insight into the full-time MBA. So
sorry to interrupt. I know that we went over time and there are a ton of questions here. How do we want to address that?
Okay, so I'm looking at the questions in the Q&A chat box, and pretty much answered all of them while you were giving your session. So if anybody has any outstanding questions that have not been answered, I guess we can stay for another 5-10 minutes, if that's okay with you, Iris, or would you rather?
I have a buffer. I saw some question here that it was still like on my screen, so I don't know whether that has been addressed or not.
Yeah, so I answered about 27 questions. The one question that I left for you, I just asked you.
Yeah.
So let's see what else comes through.
There's one saying regarding the AEIOU method, that's just what I was thinking about, that some distinctions for me from one task to be engaging or disengaging totally is linked to other factors like environment. I guess that looks like a comment. So yes, please let us know.
We've got one from Daniel here saying, what would be a great way to train your mind in order to reach that flow level, that creativity, that mindfulness?
Yeah, mindfulness absolutely is one way to go. Mindfulness helps you maintain focus. It also helps you regulate your thoughts, your attention, especially when you are thinking about negative thoughts, you're thinking about thoughts that does not help you. It's really good practice. It's like mental gym.
Okay.
Thank you, Daniel.
Got another one here. How do we move to developing the prototype and then into the action plan?
Well, the prototype really are the jobs that you are thinking, oh, should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? The exercise to get you to put them on paper and then think about, well, whether you should or not, you should go out to talk to people. You should think about, okay, do I have what they offer? And then do that comparison, okay? And of course, the career coaching comes into the picture. And then the action plan involves, do you know enough? Do you have enough knowledge? Then the action plan should be go do some research. You don't know enough about artificial intelligence and you said that you want to be a product manager in the tech industry working for an AI company. That requires a lot of research, right? So I think you use your common sense to think about what could be a gap and then check in with us, check in with the people you have coffee chats with. Does that help, Sujay? Okay, feel free to raise your hand if you do still have another question. Someone asked, when's the best timing to start doing coffee meetings with companies during the program? I wouldn't say coffee meetings with the companies or not. Start your coffee chat, start your networking right now. Like, don't wait. And then you need to, the more you do your research, the better. And also don't just show up to coffee chats and trying to ask people to educate you on every single thing. You need to be able to respect people's time and Google, LinkedIn, there's lots of information online. So do your research first before you take up people's time and ask more well-researched, sophisticated questions.
I've got another one here for you. What companies?
Oh, and sorry, quickly, P1, P2, you will be slammed. That's why right now with the students who have been accepted, we will be launching career programming starting September so that they can be getting a head start right now. So there's a lot of work to be done if you want to be ready for internship next May and want to be ready for full-time job search at the end of in the next year. Sorry, Zach, go ahead.
No problem, no problem. What companies recruit students in renewable energy, the clean tech sector from UBC Sauder? How's the renewable energy sector in BC?
I must say that is not that big, and I cannot easily recall any students in the last 4 years who are working in this types of roles within Canada. I can recall 1 or 2 who worked in that area outside of, I think in the United States, and they have prior experience. For example, environmental science, and also they were engineer in that area. So environmental consulting were something that people come in with that experience in. Over here, we have a company actually that was started by a Sauder alumni. It's called Recycle BC. So it's kind of like in that clean tech space, if that's what you're aiming for.
Excellent. Okay. Louis wanted to know how companies in the midst of COVID-19, starting in January 2021, can you comment on the timing and sort of future recruitment efforts of companies in terms of internship and then later? I know we don't have a crystal ball here, but how do you see things taking shape in regards to starting in January 2021 and companies, the expected timing of companies looking for recruits and so on? Do you see any change?
In terms of companies recruiting, that's a little bit of a gray area. So the 2 things we need to understand is that some big national companies, like multinationals, they recruit in a more cyclical way. Like every year, they come on campus to recruit students. And which means that for you to be ready in May, internship next year, you need to start preparing now. Because big companies means more competition. Don't wait until January. Start learning about the field. And if you are going to a competitive field, increase your knowledge and your readiness now, going to coffee chats. However, Vancouver is also largely a just-in-time hiring city. So there are a lot of companies, they will not be thinking about hiring probably until March or April of next year, and sometimes even early May. A lot of small and medium-sized companies here. So those are still opportunities, but again, like I just want to say that if you have time on your hand, get ready now, because the early bird catches the worm. We don't know, the economy will probably be tough, right? So really get ready.
Sounds good. I'm just going through here in terms of any other questions that.
Albert has a bit of a question on sustainability. I have to say, I mean, I'm very passionate about sustainability. Vancouver seems to have that sustainability feel. We have a very good professor or professors who talk about sustainability too. However, in terms of jobs in sustainability, it's really still so rare. I can probably count with one hand the number of students who work in sustainability, maybe half a hand. One student in the entire class of 90 something. It's a market where more startups play in that space. So I would say if you are someone who would love to make a difference in this field, look for the smaller organizations, go out to do networking. Those are a great way to initiate opportunities in that area. So don't let too much of that past figure influence your judgment for the future, because this is something that is it's having lots of opportunities in the future. So you want to be able to learn to create that and get yourself noticed too. Sujay asked, is it better to start networking prior to start of classes? I'm worried as generally recruiting happens toward later stages. Can I sustain the network? Well, Sujay, you have to learn how to sustain your network, how to build relationships and maintain relationships, and you have to start right now. Networking should not be utilitarian. You don't network so that you create a shortcut to get a job. Networking is a way to do research in the company, in the people, in the culture, and the requirements of the role. It's not just say, oh, I wait until like really close to the date in order to network. Those kind of networking are generally not very fruitful. So start your research now.
I have an interesting question here in terms of language. Is Spanish a valuable skill or commodity in Canadian companies here in Vancouver?
To a certain extent only. I wouldn't say it's huge, but you can seek out, that could be your niche, right? I could say if you are into banking, we have for example, Scotiabank had a large South American practice. That's what they're known for, right? And we have students who come from banking, love banking, come from South America. That could be a competitive advantage. But of course, you still need to be able to set yourself apart with a lot of other skills too. Don't fall back on just the language. And of course, other types of international business. But so far, I would say that banking space for international banking is what I can think of.
And in terms of any graduates who've gone on to corporate law?
Sorry, can we have more background on that question?
So he is in corporate law, and he wants to know if any students have gone on to careers that proceeded in careers in corporate law after doing an MBA.
Limited. Again, you can also use LinkedIn to search for those people. There are people who pursue Juris Doctor JD and MBA dual degree. Generally, in every cohort, we would have 1 or 2 students who go into that. And but again, like very limited. And yes, when they are finally done with both law and MBA, they tend to go into that space of law.
Okay.
Okay, but your undergrad is corporate law. Doing an MBA to help you with you getting into corporate law, that's another question, another space. I think I need to understand your specific situation a little bit better in order to answer your question in the future.
Yeah, I can take some of these offline as well. So
yeah,
because we have a separate program for that. So in terms of confining to operations, primarily business or operations, what are the companies one should be focusing on? Again, I suppose one can look through, do a LinkedIn search on this, right?
Yeah, so that question, what other company you want to focus on? Well, I think it depends on what you like what are your interests? And you balance that with what is important to you and what are the opportunities there. It's like the intersection of 3 circles. It's like a Venn diagram. So for example, I could easily tell you that healthcare, right, supply chain, transportation, it's a fairly big industry in Vancouver, and they tend to hire from our students quite a bit as well. So that could be one area to look at, right? Certain e-commerce retail, they might have operational roles as well. So you could look at that industry, but in terms of the specific companies, look at some health authorities, look at, let me see, C-SPAN is a little bit more of an older school type of company. Vancouver Port Authority would be an example. Yeah, some public sector roles you could look at as well. However, not necessarily in the technology industry. Okay, and again, doing some LinkedIn search, looking at where the Sauder alumni has gone to would be a good way to go. Let me just think whether there are other ones, and I can come back to that. Yeah, some of the examples I can think of, it's some retail e-commerce company which are not doing exactly well, but you can take a look at that. Mountain Equipment Co-op, MEC. We have students who have worked there before. Arterix, the very well-known clothing brand. They have some operational roles locally too. But generally, you need to have a bit of a background in that area already. There's a question on how's the job market in Vancouver for family business. Do they accept interns? They might. It's rare. It depends on what kind of family business. To give you an example, Metrie, M-E-T-R-I-E, it's a family business. It's actually belonged to the Sauder family, which is the family that donated a lot of money to Sauder School of Business, and that's why we are named after them. It is a huge family business, and yes, they accept interns from UBC for a couple of years in a row too. But the small, stereotypical family business, they might, unless they're really ambitious on thinking about big changes and they want to get an MBA to help, then it's not very typical. Let me see, is there any other question? Students from medical dental background. We actually have one student this year who has a dental background.
And Iris, just to cut in, I've been seeing some applications come through more and more in terms of medical and dental backgrounds, both domestic students and international students. So I understand based in this present situation, there's been a little bit of a spike in terms of the healthcare sector as well. Is that?
Absolutely. Lots of opportunities there. And like I said earlier, healthcare technology, it is a big market in Vancouver. Check out Life Sciences BC. It's a nonprofit organization where all the life sciences related organizations are affiliated there. How is BC for jobs in that sector? So generally the climate is there, the ecosystem is there, but when it comes to roles that are specifically like that, it will definitely still require some work to be done on your end, networking, thinking about whether your value proposition after getting an MBA would be something that could be a good fit for the market. So don't just take it that, oh, when I say the industry is good and you say, yeah, I'm going to do it. You want to think about, like, why does it make sense for me? Am I going to solve a problem in the BC's dental and medical world? Am I going to have a niche in this area? Do people want that? So those are things to think about and research. Do companies analyze deeply the career track you have chosen? The answer is no. Knowledge stands out for sure, but is it a great differential when looking at your next move? So first of all, no, rarely anybody look at your career track that is on your transcript. Only consulting and certain finance companies would ask for your transcript. So your career track only appears there. And whether you put your career track into your resume or not, it's up to you. So don't get hung up on the career track selection. The goal should be determining what type of role do you want to be in. Like, what kind of things do you want to do? And then use that to determine your course selection and then your career track. Did I cover all the questions? I think so. Is that right? Oh, product developer. How's the outlook for management business consulting in Vancouver? How do I answer this question? Vancouver is not a big city for, it's not even a matter of whether it's Vancouver or not. I would say big three, like MBB, we call it, McKinsey, Bain, Boston Consulting, MBB, they're the most competitive. So whether you're in Vancouver or not, it's not really the key. It's about whether you as a candidate has what it takes to go through this competition. Every single year we have case interview consulting program. We have strategic consulting management program where students apply to. So just to get into that program, it's quite some, like there's a high threshold. And for you to survive that program by going through the very rigorous process of practicing your interviewing, practicing your cases, is another level of let's say hard work that you need to put into. And then in this strategic consulting program, once you made it, you passed it, then those alumni who run the program will continue to mentor you and coach you to kind of prepare you for getting into those companies. But even with that, it could be hard to get into the MBB. And then Big Fours, KPMG, PwC, Deloitte is a little bit easier. However, you need to put in the hard work and also be really, really high on emotional intelligence. So I just want to be really honest with you. It's not a matter of whether it's a Vancouver or anything else. It has to do with your own preparation and readiness. Neha has a question. As a product developer and senior designer in apparel industry, e-commerce gaining strength, lots of cancellation. Do you see job openings in this segment in the near future as the clothing industry does not come under essential product services? I don't think it's really connected here. It's nothing to do with whether it's essential or not. However, and again, I don't have the crystal ball, whether that industry would be shrinking or not, it is not something that I can predict because it has to do with how the economy is doing too, right? What's people's spending power, how much they would be buying apparel. That said, e-commerce, tech, it is still something that companies are trying to put a lot of effort in, because now with COVID, digital transformation is really top of mind. Organizations that have been prioritizing digital transformation seem to be the ones that are surviving, or at least not dying in this pandemic. So I would say there should be roles in that area. I actually just saw one company called Kit and Ace. It's a local company, Kit and Ace. They are still expanding their hiring, and there are e-commerce roles. I share that with one of my students who are trying to get into e-commerce. Okay, so it again depends on a lot of different factors. All right, looks like it's time, and then I do need to go. If you guys have any other questions, I think Zai, you'll be able to field it.
They can absolutely reach out to me. Again, you've got my email address, so please feel free to email me with any questions that you may have. Use that LinkedIn profile to access and see what some of our alumni are doing out there. And we can take it from there. But I just want to say thank you very much for all your time today, Iris. And for all you guys out there as well, thank you for asking some really fantastic questions and participating in this workshop. We really value your input, and we look forward to seeing you again at another iteration of a webinar for UBC. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to say farewell, and stay safe out there, and my greetings to you and yours, and stay well. Thank you so much.
Goodbye.